We get a lot of letters here. Stories about creaks in the attic, shadows in mirrors, voices in empty rooms. But this next one, it stayed with me. It's not about ghosts exactly. It's about something older, something that doesn't just haunt you, it keeps you. Hi, team. I've never written into a podcast before, but I've been listening to your show for a while, and now I feel like I need to share something. 2 months ago, my mother passed away. It wasn't sudden or shocking. It was long, slow, and painfully quiet. We knew it was coming. Cancer. We had time to prepare, but that doesn't mean we were ready. I spent the last days with her in a hospice room that smelled like bleach and endings. I held her hand. I watched her breathe. She was calm. I wasn't. That was the hardest part. She had made peace with it. I hadn't. On her final day, she took my hand and looked at me with clear, focused eyes. "Don't be afraid," she whispered. "You'll never be alone. He'll protect you now." I asked who she meant. She said it was her guardian, a presence that had protected her all her life, passed down from her mother. She told me he would come to me next, but I wouldn't believe it until I saw the 10 marks. She listed them. A coin returned, a silent bell, a path cleared, a saved fall, a warning unheard, a fear answered, a scent of old earth, a touch of cold fur, a voice not your own, and finally, a gaze returned. The funeral passed in a blur, and in the weeks that followed, I almost forgot her final words. But then the first sign appeared. I was leaving the store on a rainy evening when I dropped a coin, a quarter, in the parking lot. It vanished under the car. I looked, didn't find it, and went home. At home, I emptied my pockets, and there it was. The same quarter, dry, shiny, right on top of my wallet. I tried to explain it. Maybe I had a second one. Maybe I imagined dropping it. But something cold settled in my stomach. The first mark. A few days later, the second sign. I was walking past an old church. The bell tower hasn't worked in decades, but I heard it. A deep, clear, lonely sound. One single toll. I looked up. The bell was still. No one else reacted. The street was quiet, a silent bell. By the time the third sign came, I'd already stopped sleeping well. I was jumpy, nerves frayed. At work, a hallway I used daily was blocked by a huge cart full of tools. No way past. I sighed and went the long way. A minute later, I returned, and the cart was gone. No sound, no workers, nothing. A path cleared. The fourth sign happened on a Tuesday evening. I was walking down the stairs in my apartment building, lost in thought. When my foot slipped, I pitched forward, body twisting, the floor rushing up toward my face. I remember thinking, "This is it. I'm going to break something." But the impact never came. Something stopped me mid-air, a forceful grip on my chest, invisible but solid. Then I was gently set on my feet. The stairwell was empty, completely empty. A saved fall. From that moment on, I felt watched, constantly. The back of my neck stung as if someone's gaze rested there all day long. Then came the fifth sign. I was about to step into an elevator at a mall when a powerful, instinctive dread hit me, a sharp, silent warning. Don't go in. I hesitated. The doors closed without me. 10 seconds later, an awful grinding screech came from the shaft, followed by the emergency alarm. A warning unheard. That same evening, walking home through a quiet park, a large dog broke free from its owner and charged at me, barking, teeth bared. It was inches away when it suddenly froze, then whimpered, tail between legs, and bolted as if fleeing from something behind me. A fear answered. By then, I was 6 marks in. I couldn't pretend anymore. Something, someone, Was with me, I felt it, trailing behind me when I walked, standing in the corners when I turned off the lights, shifting in reflections I caught too late. And then the seventh sign appeared, a smell, earthy, musky, damp like wet fur and soil, a scent that didn't belong in my apartment. It came and went without warning, sometimes right behind me, sometimes from the hallway, always close, too close. The eighth sign came late at night. I was lying in bed, half asleep, when something brushed against my hand. It felt like coarse, cold animal fur, bristly and damp. I jerked my hand back, heart hammering. The room was empty, a touch of cold fur. The ninth sign came the next night. I was finally asleep when a low, wet whisper pressed against my ear. It wasn't any language I knew, but I felt the meaning. Mine. I didn't sleep again after that. I spent the night sitting in the corner of my living room, gripping a baseball bat. The 10th sign came at dawn. I felt it waiting for me in the hallway, heavy, ancient, patient. For the first time, I wasn't running. I stood up and whispered, "I know you're here. Show yourself." The air in the hallway thickened, shimmered. A shape formed, tall, stooped, covered in matted black fur. Its arms were long, its fingers brushing the floorboards, and then it lifted its head. It had the face of a goat, narrow, bearded with thick, curling horns. But its eyes were human, intelligent, ancient. Watching me, a gaze returned, the final mark. I should have screamed, but I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, as it watched me with the same peaceful expression my mother had the day she died. It is my guardian, my inheritance, my burden. Now I write this in daylight, and it's still here, standing in the corner, watching, waiting. Mom said I would be safe, but tell me, how do you live with something that protects you, but terrifies you more than death ever could? I don't know what to do. My mother said I would be safe, but it doesn't feel safe. I'm exhausted. I'm afraid to sleep. I'm afraid to be awake. I'm afraid to see it again. I tried talking to my friends, but they think I'm losing my mind. So I'm writing to you, hoping someone will understand. Please, if anyone listening has experienced something like this, please tell me I'm not alone. Wow. Just wow. I have chills right now. Listen, friend, I don't know what you saw, but I can tell you this. Sometimes the line between protection and possession is thinner than we think. Maybe it is looking after you. Maybe it was your mother's guardian. But if its presence is making your life unbearable, then maybe it's time to set some boundaries. And to our listeners, have you ever felt watched, saved by something you couldn't explain? Let us know.